started. Thank you guys so much for coming out to this. This is the Women in Technology Law panel. We have some awesome women technology attorneys in front of you today. We are the Journal of Law and Technology at Texas, otherwise known as JOLTT. We're a fairly new journal, sort of touching on technology and law because there wasn't really a journal before that. So we are trying to spearhead that. Just as a housekeeping thing, if you guys have to leave, totally fine. I understand there might be some people coming in and out around 12:30, just so you guys are aware too. And we also have a trivia fundraising night next Thursday at Posse East. If you guys are interested, if you're a dues member, paying member, it's for free. Otherwise, it's $10. It'll be really fun. Some prizes involved, and also blow off a little steam from all this final stuff. So other than that, we're going to get started. My name is Grace Bowers. I'm into at UT. I'm the VP of Outreach, so I do a lot of the community liaison for the journal. But we have four amazing attorneys in front of us today. We have Lauren Hopper, who's a senior litigation counsel at Dell. We have Megan Yell, who's corporate counsel at a startup company at Civitas Learning. We have Beth Chen, who's an assistant attorney general with the Consumer Protection Division. And then we have Misha Lubeck. Is that how you say your last name, Misha?
Libke.
Libke, who is a...
We're on a first name basis.
Yes, yes. Who is an attorney at Baker Botts. So to kind of get started, we'll just have each of you guys sort of introduce yourself, talk about what you do at your respective companies, and then sort of maybe your career path of how you got to that company.
Sure.
Yeah.
My name is Lauren Hopper. I mostly handle patent litigation at Dell, although through my time at Dell I've also handled general litigation. My path to Dell, I was a big law associate, so I was at Jones Day in DC and in Houston, and also at Morgan Lewis in Houston. So definitely trained at big law firms, and then I've been at Dell since 2011.
I'm Megan Yell, and I'm at Civitas Learning currently, and corporate counsel there. It's a startup. We have about 200 employees, so kind of a mid-sized startup. I'm the only attorney at the company, so handle a really wide variety of matters, everything from patents and trademarks and customer contracts, data privacy, employment, and pretty much just anything else anyone wants to throw at me. I started my career, I graduated from law school in 2009 and was a litigator for 8 years. Then took some time off and did some work for the American Bar Association, and then jumped back into this role.
Hi, I'm Beth Chen. I am an Assistant Attorney General with the Consumer Protection Division at the Attorney General's office. I first have to start with my disclaimer that we say, which is the advice that I give today should not be considered legal advice, and these my remarks are only my personal opinions and do not represent those of the Attorney General. So as you can tell, I have a little bit different of a position than others in this panel. I am in the Consumer Protection Division. I actually started out there as a long career launch fellow from UT, and then I ended up staying there, and it's been a great experience. I started out working in the internet and privacy team, which is sort of how I began working on tech-related cases. And that team, we don't have quite the same structure as we had before, but I continue to work on different types of deceptive trade practices, consumer protection cases, which often do include technology cases. And I also supervise the intake and complaint team, which sort of helps identify different types of cases that our division works on.
Hi everybody, I'm Misha. I am a graduate of UT Law, and I left in 2012 and started immediately at Baker Botts in the litigation group. As a litigator in the Austin office at Baker Botts, I do a lot of technology litigation, and I include in that trade secrets. So long as they're about technologies, not your customer list. And then some patent litigation, and then I also do securities litigation. That's a very long story. But
Awesome. Thank you guys so much for joining us today. could sort of talk about maybe your background and if you but all sort of touch technology through your jobs now. Did you have a technology background going into law school and into the field, or how did you sort of find yourself where you are? Which sort of overlaps, but
I can start. I'm a government major here at the University of Texas. I absolutely have no technology background. I actually thought that the premise of this talk was interesting. I know that we're here to talk about, like, I work at Dell. Everyone who is a lawyer at Dell, our jobs revolve around what is considered, high tech and tech. The substance of my work is about technology, literally. But make no mistake, anyone that's graduating from law school right now is going to be involved in technology. You may not have your cases be about technology, or your deals or whatever type of law you're pleading to practice might not be specifically about technology as if you were working at a big tech company. But with all of the the advances in technology that are going on right now, your business will involve technology. You will be figuring out what's going on in the Internet of Things to know if the next camera or the next, temperature was on in the time that the incident happened in that room. You will be figuring out whatever artificial intelligence there is to sort of whittle down the documents that you need to review. There is so much going on in tech just with the business of law right now and continuing that everyone graduating from law school now will be dealing with technology. There's no getting around it. And that's the same for me. When I got out, things have changed immensely in the time that I've been practicing law. I have no technical background. I was doing commercial litigation, but the clients that my firm had, I did a lot of work for big tech companies, which led me into doing patent litigation work for the same companies. Patent litigation over the last 10 years has had kind of a moment. I don't know if any of you are IP law focused at all, but it's had a bit of a moment. There's different theories as to why there's been so much patent litigation in the last 10 years, the last 20 years. But for me, I kind of happened into it. It was where my clients were having litigation, so that's kind of where the business was, so that's where my practice led. And I've actually found it to be, you could have knocked me over with a feather coming out of law school that I would be doing what I'm doing now. But I found for myself that it's really interesting. It's a very specific area of law that I've learned, and knowing any one area of law really well allows you to be a good lawyer. You can be creative with that and start to move and do interesting things in your cases. So I've completely happened into it, but I really like it. So for anyone who is here but doesn't have a specific tech background, you can still find yourself in tech and find yourself enjoying it.
Yeah, I don't have a particular tech background either. I was an economics major. I started out litigating actually attorney malpractice defense, which was a very interesting way to start your legal career, like figuring out all the things you should not do as a lawyer. But I did really enjoy it. I think one of the ways that I started moving towards technology was through e-discovery and becoming more involved with that at the law firm. There were a lot of more senior partners who didn't want anything to do with that, and so they basically handed off those responsibilities to some of the associates, and I got really involved with that and liked that aspect of the law practice. And ultimately, I really wanted to work for a startup. I just liked that kind of dynamic environment, and so that's kind of why I found myself where I am now. But totally agree that you can't get away from technology if you're going to be a lawyer nowadays. There are many senior partners at law firms who will try and fail at that, and they'll rely on you to help them because they don't want to do it. So I think it's pretty much unavoidable.
I think I ended up on the internet and privacy team mostly through luck, but I did have a tiny bit of tech background in that I had slightly more technical abilities than maybe other people who were applying for the job, just because I had taken a couple, I think 2 computer science classes ever in my life. And that's really my only tech background that I have. I think that it really helps to just kind of keep up with the news and keep up with what's going on in the field in general. How I ended up working on technology-related cases actually had a lot to do with my path when I started at the office. It just happened to be that I had a really great mentor who worked on a lot of what are called multi-state investigations. So we investigate companies under Deceptive Trade Practices Act and other consumer protection laws in the Consumer Protection Division, but other states do the same thing under their own state Deceptive Trade Practices Acts. And oftentimes we will band together as a group of states to investigate, especially oftentimes large companies, to pool our resources and find efficiencies there. And I got to work on some of those cases early on, which happened to deal with some technology aspects, and sort of found my niche in that way. And so even though the internet and privacy team doesn't technically exist anymore, a lot of times when those types of cases pop up, I will end up working on some of those investigations. So that's, I guess, how I got here.
It's so funny because we're all litigators and none of us have technical backgrounds, but I went to UT for undergrad and I studied accounting and French, and neither of those really helped at all. And I remember coming to law school and thinking how great it would be to have a career doing something technology related. And I don't know if any of you guys have been in that position where you're told, don't tell any firms or companies that you want to do IP law unless you have an engineering degree or a computer science degree. And I got told that, so I went to my firm experience expecting never to touch an IP case at all. And the first case I was staffed on was a trade secret case about this giant technology. And, you know, without the technological background, I basically, which I love about my job, I had to learn this technology really quickly. I literally had a textbook on gas combustion in my office that lived there. And it is something that even if your cases or your deals or whatever you're working on in your career aren't about technology, it's totally true that you're still involved in technology all the time, whether it's you're a corporate lawyer and your client's calling because there was a data privacy breach potentially, and how do you deal with that? You have to figure out which data was actually, you know, potentially exposed and that sort of thing. It's all there, and I think being of the age group that has had access to technology for a lot longer than some of the more senior lawyers that you might encounter and that we encounter, we are at a little bit of an advantage, and we do kind of have to pull that weight a little more. I joke around because one of that same first case about this, you know, combustion technology, there are two partners on it. Both were old enough to be my fathers, but one of them did not know how to send an email. He sent me an email, and the entire body of the email would just all be in the subject line. And it would say things like, and he's retired, if he ever sees this, he would laugh about it, so I'm not making fun of him at all. But he sent me one email, and it was basically, Misha, can you save this on the system? And it had an attachment, to which I was just like, oh my God, you attached it, so you saved it somewhere. So it is one of those things where, you know, it's just a part of our careers, and it's always going to be a part of our careers.
I love that you guys don't have very technical backgrounds, because I'm an aspiring tech attorney, hopefully, and very much have a psychology, soft side and stuff.
I should mention
Yeah.
I'm a history and managerial studies
Okay.
major. I forgot everyone else said their majors.
No, that's very important to see. But so since you guys don't really have that technical background, what has been your experience trying to get to learn the technology of your clients or the company that you work for? Misha touched on it a little bit with some of her first case, but what has sort of been this process for how you learn the technology to the extent that you can become an expert and advise your clients on it?
Yeah, I think you ask questions. I mean, I think there, especially when, let's say you're working on a matter or a case, a deal where technology is at issue, there are subject matter experts at your clients who understand the technology, and it's a matter of you, and this is where your psychology skills come in, and all the soft skills that we got through our degrees that are non-technical come in. You have to get them to explain it to you, and especially for litigations, if they can't explain it to me, as a lawyer trying really hard to understand it, there's no way we're gonna be able to explain it to a jury. So it is that process of like, okay, thank you for explaining this very high level thing. Let's break it down a little bit more and asking questions to kind of get yourself educated. I will say also, my husband is a technologist. He is a computer science, and there are times where I run ideas by him and he helps me understand them. So I cheat a little bit.
So my husband's also a software engineer, but but I don't end up needing that because actually in my field it's very different because we're really just looking for what what disclosures have been lacking with certain businesses, what misrepresentations have there been maybe in advertising. And so it's really a lot different than most of the time. I don't have to dig too deeply into the actual technology to be able to work on my cases. So it's a little bit different of a role. But there are a couple that I'm having to do